Hi everyone, this is the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is a warm late June afternoon here in Southwest Florida. It is 89 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 31 degrees Celsius. It's a warm day, but as you can see, we got wind blowing and it's pretty nice. What I want to talk to you today about from behind the camera is not this Dendrobium wu-lang, but I want to talk with you about pots and growing orchids in pots, and is there such a thing as a pot that is too big for the orchid. So most of my orchids, as you can tell, are mounted in pots as I go along my fence here. And I've had people tell me that these pots can be too big, and that when you plant an orchid, when you transplant an orchid, when you repot an orchid, that you have to go with an appropriate pot size. My feeling on this is that no, you don't. I don't think there's such a thing as having a pot that is too big. And what I want to show you is this pot right here. This is a huge pot, and I got a big orchid planted in it. It wasn't big when I got it, of course, but what's going on is I just wanted to get, this is one of my favorite orchids, and I wanted to get a lot of growth out of it. So I decided I wanted to try to put it in just a really huge pot and see what would happen to it. So I put it in this large pot, and if you can see on this, what also I have is there's two large seed capsules on there. So there's one there, and if I can find the other one, there's another one right there. So this is a fairly large orchid, and it's grown that way, and it's got a couple of really nice seed capsules on there. But what I did is I put it in a huge pot, and if you go down and look at, and you may or may not be able to see what's going on here, but there's a lot of new growth that's coming out of this. And so we've got, I don't know if you can see that, there are two new pseudobulbs on that side, and if you go over to this side, there's two more new pseudobulbs growing out of this side. So there's a lot of new growth going on with this plant, but look at all the spare room in this pot and what you can do with it. And I'm hoping for just a huge amount of growth on this thing. I don't know what's going to happen, so this is an experiment. People tell me that even though you got to be careful when you put things in such a large pot, because what can happen, and I do understand and I agree with this, is that you can get rotting if you plant your orchid in a pot that has a lot of organic material in its bark, or whether there's not good drainage. So this pot contains a combination of lava stone and leca, and you can see a little bit of it on the top there. But what happened, and the lava stone is big, so what happens in this pot is that you get really good drainage. You're not going to get too much moisture build up, and you're not going to get rotting. It may change once the plant fills the pot, but as you can see, there's a lot of room for this to grow. This plant has been in here for maybe a year, so we'll see what happens as it fills the pot, and I think it will. So let me take a look at a couple at really, one more pot here. And so this is a relatively new transplant into this pot right here. And again, this is another Cattleya. And you can see there is one, two, I don't know if you can see, oh geez, hard to see. I'm looking for new pseudobulbs. So there's a new pseudobulb that is right there, and then when you look around back, anyway, you might just have to trust me on this. There's another Another new pseudobulb should be about in the middle of your screen in the back there. So on a plant this size, there are 4 new pseudobulbs growing out of this. And again, it's the same type of thing with the big pot. I have lava stone, big lava stone in the middle, but then leca mixed throughout and then on the top. So I don't think you're going to get too much moisture accumulation, and I don't think you're going to have too much rotting in a plant like this. But this is again, this has been in here a short time, and it's gonna do well. All right, so what's going on here? Well, orchids, you know, orchid roots, when they grow naturally, they are growing on trees, and these at least are. They're epiphytic and they're growing on trees. And what happens is the roots spread out and they stay dry. So you got to be aware of what's going on with the roots. They have to receive the moisture, but then they dry out between. So you got to make sure the same thing happens on that. But the thing is, when you've got these roots in this pot, it's fine, I think, to have a big pot as long as you don't have rotting. And so big pots are fine. The roots can spread out. Now, ideally, let me show you what the orchids will grow like in the wild. So these happen to be vandas, and for me, the only way I get my vandas to grow is when I put them on trees. But take a look at this, and I'm going to focus in on the roots as you kind of follow them up the tree. So this is the vanda, this is the mother plant right here. But let's take a look as we go up the tree, and we can follow the roots up the tree, and they keep on going, and they keep on going, and they keep on going, and okay, we're at the end right now, but they still have a long way to go. And this is how orchids grow. Let's take a look at the vanda and the tree next to it right here. So again, what you see is you go up the tree, and not much here, but even I have some small vandas on this tree right here, and you can see how they keep on growing and they wrap around and they go up quite a bit. So as long as, you know, the roots are growing, and as long as there's space for them to grow, I don't think, you know, what is the pot size on this vanda? Well, it's kind of unlimited. And so I think it's fine to plant your orchids in a bigger pot and let them grow and fill the space. Again, you always have to keep your eye on them as far as rotting goes. Okay, I didn't follow them all the way down. Those roots go down pretty far too. All right, they go all the way down. And the same thing with the roots on the other tree, actually everywhere. Even on this big one right here. Oop, sorry about that. Even on this big one, you follow them all the way down. Follow the roots all the way down. And that's a root right there. So, you know, this vanda is mounted about, it's about 5 feet off the ground. So it goes down all the way, and the roots on this vanda probably go about 4 feet up and about 5 feet down. So it's fine to have a lot of room for root growth. All right, what I want to do is take a look at one more plant in a big pot. And again, it's kind of the indicator that it's okay to transplant or repot your orchids in big pots as long as you get good drainage. All right, so let's take a look at one more big pot. Okay, and we are back. This is what one of my viewers referred to as a forklift truck, because this is the same huge pot that I had that other orchid in, and it's also filled with lava stone and leca. And I should say that one of the reasons I use lava stone is because it's cheap. When you use pots this big, there's, you know, the potting mix. If you use something really expensive, you're just going to be paying a lot of money, paying almost more for the potting mix than for the orchid itself. So this is Mishima Victory. It's one of my oldest orchids, and I decided, it's huge flower, wonderfully fragrant, and I just decided I would try a big pot. And what's happened in here, this has been in there a long time, and what's happened in here is that you've got a lot of new growth. It's spilling over the left side of the pot here. It's spilling over the right side of the pot over here, but it's still got plenty of room to grow in the middle of the pot. So this plant, and when you look at the overall plant, it looks pretty good. So I'm happy with transplanting this to a big pot. Now you can't do this with all of your orchids, certainly, because this thing, I should say, this is on blocks on the ground. This is heavy. This is a heavy pot, and it's become a very heavy orchid. But I think it's fine to use a big pot and let the orchids kind of expand out. Again, as long as you have the appropriate drainage in there, it's fine. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you. Again, use use a big pot, use a small pot, use whatever you're comfortable with as far as transplanting your orchids. If you've got mounted orchids, give them room to, for the roots to spread out and take in their nutrients and water and everything. And yeah, big pots are good. I like big pots. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed my video. If you did, and you'd like to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for right now from Southwest Florida on. I'm sitting in the sun. It is a warm day when you're sitting in the sun. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.